spit pimpin', baby. The iconic rap verses.
Cause that's what I'm monster do.
The artists who shape the culture.
I know when
Flex your musical muscles with a new channel. Feature hip-hop from the 2000s.
Let me work it.
In the 2010s.
humble. Holla, sit down.
On Flex 2K. Now, Sirius XM Channel 49 in the Sirius XM app. Included in all trials and popular plans. To hear Flex 2K, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com.
The biggest musical artists are on The Howard Stern Show.
Elton John, Lady Gaga, Harry Styles, Paul McCartney, Randy Carlisle, Foo Fighters, Neil Young, Billie Eilish.
Exclusive performances.
There she is, Lizzo. Bruce Springsteen.
And one-of-a-kind collaborations.
Miley and Metallica together.
The Howard Stern Show on Howard 100.
Awesome.
To hear Howard 100 and Howard 101, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 0181486.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour, Vede Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood on a beautiful February the 20th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya where the good Lord split you. If that makes sense to you, as well as driving a fleet of Cadillac cars. I want to say with Big C Sports Podcast, you can follow streaming all around the world on 29 podcast applications all across the universe. And streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Really do appreciate that. I think I'm the only sports show in the universe that pays homage to reparations, especially for California reparations, descendants of chattel slavery. I will keep doing that as I rise and shine every day with Big C Sports Podcast. And what I love doing the most with Big C Sports Podcast is I really appreciate the fact that God has shown me the ability to do the show. I produce the show, I direct the topics, I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives, especially with all that rain hitting Northern and Central California as well as Southern California. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I do the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. And then the show's uploaded to 29 podcast applications all across the universe out of New York City. And I'm in Denver Hills, California. All's friend, level ward number 10. I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the days of Salem Media. Really do appreciate that. Everybody has a story. What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the nose. Get punched in the nose by Mike Tyson. But if you happen to get punched in the nose by life, I want to make sure that I give out the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. We know oftentimes if you know of veterans and we think about paying homage to our military veterans, that's one thing to pay homage to somebody and hope that they can get the help. But what I do love about giving help to our military, they really do need someone to help them, someone to talk to. And what I do with the Big C Sports Podcast, I do it every show. And that's what I love about Big C Sports Podcast. You can go to any military veteran and we can say thank you for your service. And oftentimes that's what we do. We thank them all for the service. But sometimes service is not enough and we need someone that they can call on if they ever have any problems. And that's what I love about doing with Big C Sports Podcast, to let them know that you're not alone. I meet so many people, and there are times when I like to feed people on a daily basis. I just take out some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I keep them with me, and I make sure that if I see someone that, not that they have to be a veteran, but if I see someone that looks like they're in help or in need of help, I like to give them a sandwich, because saying thank you for your service doesn't do anything if you're hungry. It's a nice thing, it's a nice gesture, but I love doing that with Big C Sports Podcast. And that's what I love, giving that praise. Give it praise because they need help. And I think, in my mind, my grandparents were veterans, my father's veteran. I have some nephews that serve this country in the military and also in the Marines. And that, to me, it's just a great thing. So 828-255, that's 828-255 for you can text. I know a lot of people text nowadays, and that's wonderful giving that out. Also, veteranscrisisline.net, that's veteranscrisisline.net. If you know anybody that needs help, just give them some praise. I love doing my part with Big C Sports Podcast, all said and never more. I gotta also do something that's nice for me and near to my heart. I believe that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's why I love paying homage to our reparations. I'm so sincere about it. I don't want to leave it up to somebody else. Oftentimes in life we say, well, somebody needs to do something about this, or someone needs to do something about that. Well, I want to be that someone. That's why I love paying homage to the California Reparations Task Force, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I'm telling you, I love giving them praise, and nobody else does, as far as I know. But I want to start with the chair, Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I met with her personally at the Reparations Task Force. This happened last year, but you got to start the process. If you don't start the process, how do you end the process? You got to start it, and they planted seeds, and I love helping them water those seeds, if that makes sense to you. I want to give some praise to Dr. Amos C. Brown. He's the vice chair of the California Reparations Task Force. He knows that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's why we got to get reparations passed for the sentence of chattel slavery. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. I think he's the number one senator, in my opinion, in the universe. Why do I say that? Because the man is brilliant, and he also has a law that I'm going to talk about coming up that he's actually presented into the California State Legislature. It all starts with a start. He also helped create name, image, and likeness, and that's why college athletes get paid on their name, image, and likeness. You'll hear his name a lot when you hear about NIL. He's the one that helped craft that bill, if that makes sense to you. He also helped sponsor the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children as they put into finding missing white children. With the Amber Alert, so the Ebony Alert is definitely necessary. Really do appreciate him. And he's part of the California Reparations Task Force. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Councilmember Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. Really do appreciate her. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I really do love appreciating him as well. Everybody knows you gotta have things going in life that make sense to you. Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer, also part of the California Reparations Task Force. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant, part of the California Reparations Task Force. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant, and she's also part of the California Reparations Task Force. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, also a professor at California, Berkeley, and he's part of the Reparations Task Force for California. And last but not least, Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He also, as a Japanese American, has already received reparations for the Japanese internment camps. I want to give them all praise because they know they have to get the backing of the legislature in California to go through. And that's what was mandated by California Governor Gavin Newsom. I know people just want to know who won a game. Like the NBA All-Star game, you scored 211 points, nobody won. As much as I love NBA, that's like a waste of money to go watch guys not even play defense. And I know they understand they don't have to play defense because they don't want to get hurt. Well, if you're not going to put in a good effort, why not bring something more exciting? How about do some college all-stars versus some NBA players, and maybe you would just get more competition. I know the NFL used to do that many years ago. They would have the Super Bowl winner play the college all-stars. That's way back in the 70s, I believe. I hope I'm right about that. Maybe that would add more fire to it, because the grown men of the NBA, they would not want these young kids coming out of college and putting a whipping on them. So I'm sure they play more defense, if that makes sense to you. I want to thank This Is CNN, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. I won $6 billion, and I'm not sucking and jiving. What? Could you imagine if you got $6 billion? Oh, there you go, Big C. That's wishful thinking. Well, there are people in the world that have $6 billion, like a Warren Buffett. He has $6 billion. If you told him he only had $6 billion, he may have some heart palpitations, if that makes sense to you. Only $6 billion, all friend number one. I want to thank Double O, part of the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She sent me this article called Executive Order 13985 on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That's the White House. That was President Biden's first order when he got into office. All friend love and war. Hopefully he'll get reparations passed too. I want to thank Senators Marco Rubio and Tim Scott out of Florida. They reintroduced a bill to restore Holocaust survivors' rights. You can Google that if that makes sense to you. I want to say Georgetown. Give Georgetown some praise. People think basketball? No. Georgetown University. According to Black Enterprise magazine, they've already pledged over $1 billion and counting to 272 families that were descendants of child slavery that were sold off. They were sold to help pay off the debts for Georgetown. And for people who think, oh, we don't deserve reparations, could you imagine selling off anybody's child? Could you imagine selling off anybody's spouse, husband, wife, brother, sister, niece, nephew, grandma, grandfather? Well, that happened to descendants of child slavery. And how do people come with a good conscience and say, oh, we don't deserve to pay reparations? Nobody. Well, I want to give Georgetown some praise because they're in the city of Washington, D.C. And as they're having dignitaries from civil rights icons come to the White House to take a tour, Georgetown University actually pledged the money. I want to give them praise for that. They're in the same city. How do they beat President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to that? How? Doesn't make any sense. I want to thank Double O, payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. And she sent me this article on the United Nations. It says strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. That's important to me. I want to just say, I want to give that praise. Anyone trying to get reparations for descendants of child slavery, I want to make sure I do that. I'm going to talk about some NBA and NFL and professional sports athletes, African Americans, that are making a fortune in the world of business. But I also want to make sure that I do my part to give some special consideration to the number one senator, in my opinion, in the universe. And they say, oh, Big C, there you go again, trying to tell somebody he's number one. Well, the reason I say that, you can Google Senate Bill SB 490. SB 490 is important. If you look at it, you don't have to get on what I'm saying. You can Google it for yourself. I know it's important that we understand this. More important than the Eastern Conference scored 211 points in an All-Star game. It's exhibition. But this is not exhibition. Because as many people watch the NBA All-Star game, how many of our black athletes will step behind and clap for the top senator in the United States, Senator Stephen Bradford, because he introduced to California legislature Senate Bill 490, and that's to establish Freedmen's Bureau in California. What's Freedmen's Bureau, Big C? That's the bank used to pay out reparations. He didn't score 211 points in an NBA basketball game. And I know for some reason, a lot of our beautiful, intelligent black men, they say nothing about reparations, even though all of us come from ancestry that was treated unfairly. No one protected their assets, which is what I'm doing with the RDC team. I love NBA basketball with a passion. And I know you can't please everybody no matter what you do. But what I love about talking about people who protect your assets, I want to do that. I'm doing a commercial. It's like Aflac. No, it's not Aflac. It's asset protection. You say Aflac protection? No, I said asset protection. Okay, I may have a speech impediment, as some people said. I've been diagnosed with that. I can't confirm it or not. But I do want to protect your assets for you athletes out there. And I'm going to talk more about that. RDC Development is Resource Development Consulting, Inc., long-term care solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience. And why? Just like Senator Bradford, Stephen Bradford of California, submitting to the legislature of California Senate Bill 490, the RDC for asset protection, specialized to navigate maximum long-term care benefits, protection of your assets. You just say Aflac? I said assets protection of your assets protection. Without a spin down in California since 2024, all paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists, ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescriptions, medical equipment costs, and more. Protection of your assets! Did you say Aflac, PC? No, I said assets! I don't understand you. Aflac? No, Aflac is a gap insurance. But you still need someone to protect your assets! And that's what we do with the RDC team. And that's important to you, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program. You mean the government has an estate recovery program? Yeah, if you don't have the proper protection and trust, they can come after your assets, if that makes sense to you. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Give that some praise, protecting your assets, if that makes sense to you. Aflac? No, not Aflac. Asset protection. Maybe you should talk slow, Big C. Assets. Okay, no matter how fast I talk or how slow I talk, I've learned a long time ago, you cannot say the right thing to the wrong person. You cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. So that's why I say protect your assets, if that makes sense to you. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. I love doing that with Big C Sports Podcast. All's fair in love and war. I want to do something because you know I'm big on reparations. I know a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I want to talk about some of the great things that are happening in life with sports agents. There's a lot of them out there that are doing very well. I know some of them. Edward Davis, the owner of Checkmate Sports, he's one that's doing some great work out there in the world of the sports universe. He's a great man, a smart man, an intelligent man. I have some information I want to share about him, but I'll do that a little bit later. He talks about Checkmate Sports in life. Unlike chess, the game continues after checkmate, and everybody knows that they have a full representation agency. But I want to take the time, as we talk about reparations, and you know I'm famous for saying reparations now, reparations forever. And I believe that. But I know that many of our beautiful, intelligent athletes, men and women, we saw Stephen Curry, and he had the 3-point championship shootout, and he won over Sabrina Ionescu. A man and a woman shooting for 3-point competition for NBA basketball at the All-Star game. I thought it was must-see TV. I really like the 3-point shootout competition, and that to me is worth the weight in gold, if that makes sense to you. But I want to bring up something that's important for a lot of people, especially black men and black women. And you may know this, and you may not know about it. So as of 2023, and this article is through Black Enterprise, and it's by Cedric Big CED Thornton. Give Big CED Thornton some praise. Okay, Big CED Thornton. Big C Thornton, all fair and love and war. But he had an article that came out June 27, 2023, and it's right up my alley. You ever have something up your alley? Learn to protect your assets, if that makes sense to you. I have black sports agents are closing deals and making history with top 10 draft picks for 2023. This is a business that at one time, it was not allowed for African American men to have the same success that our white counterparts have had. And I want to praise something. I want to just let you know of something that's important to me. Because if you realize what does Scarface say in the movie Scarface, he said the world is yours. But how do you get a hold of it if you don't know? I want to play something and hopefully it'll make sense to you all. If that makes sense to you, I just want you to hear this and hear me out, because it's so important to realize there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not about life ending or your career ending if you can't play a sport. It's about having opportunities that go, I guess you could say, well beyond the playing days. And I want to make sure I play that for you with Big C Sports Podcast. Take a listen and tell me where you fit in.
Latest edition of Beyond the Hype with Black Enterprise. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr., Senior Vice President and Executive Editor of Black Enterprise. And as I always promise, and I always deliver, we have a great show, a great guest, and a great conversation lined up. Listen, our guest today has really excelled in probably all areas of content creation. He's an award-winning actor, NAACP award-winning actor, Golden Globe and Emmy-nominated actor. He's a director and producer on shows ranging from, CSI to Law and Order, you name the show. He's probably director or producer or written. And now he's also an award-winning author, and we're going to talk about his book series, the latest of which is The Laws of Annihilation. Listen, you guys know him, whether you know him as Dr. Peter Benton on ER, whether you know him as Daryl Jelks of the Soul Glow Empire from Coming to America, or just all the things that he's done during the course of a great career. Please welcome to the show, Eric LaSalle. Thanks for joining us, Eric.
Hey, thanks for having me, Alfred. It's a pleasure to be here.
So listen, what's happening with you? I mean, we've seen a lot over the last few years, whether you're talking about the strikes, the actors' strikes, and the writers' strikes, and before that, Oscar So White, and before that, and then you talk about the implications of AI on content creators and actors and others. I mean, from your point of view, as someone who's a veteran in Hollywood, but still obviously working, at the peak of his career, doing a lot more work behind the camera than in front of the camera. How do you see things from where you're sitting right now?
Well, I mean, look, it's an interesting time. Some of it is scary. I do think that one of the things that scares me the most is the AI subject. I think that, a lot of people are going to start losing a lot of jobs. And, the advancement of technology, on one hand, you go, wow, this is great. But then, of course, when you start seeing the effects that it has and how there will be entire industries that are completely wiped out in one way or another, first greatly compromised, greatly reduced. I mean, you look at stunt people in my industry. I mean, that unfortunately now has a short shelf life. So, for people aspiring to be stunt people, eventually, they're going to be able to take an image of whatever actor, have them do the craziest stunts, and not rely on stunt people and stunt coordinators as they have. And that's just one example. So, some of the negotiations had to do with wanting to have extras to come in, give permission to basically, use their images as much as they want to, however they want to, for as long as they want to, owning one's image in perpetuity. That kind of stuff is scary. I don't know. I think maybe we've delayed or slowed down. I don't know that we will ever stop at this point. I think the train has left the station. And I think it's going to pick up momentum in years to come. And at that point, it'll be, too late, and it'll start affecting a lot of different industries. So I think that, that's one of the things that scares me the most.
I just want you to think about that, what he just said about being scared about the industry and how AI, whether we believe it or not, AI is trying to take over. If it's taken over, and you can get that from Eric LaSalle, who is an actor, and they talk about how Hollywood has, for the most part, they don't need people as much with CGI and AI. I know you can watch cartoons. I remember growing up as a young boy watching Fat Albert, produced by Bill Cosby, and they had these cartoon characters, but they had the voiceover work that a lot of actors and athletes get the chance to do voiceover work. Michael Jordan, he's done work in his movie Space Jam, and also you have other actors and athletes, whether it's Spider-Man, Batman, anything, Fat Albert, SpongeBob, all these different cartoons, they have voiceover work. If you have voiceover work, and Eddie Murphy's been great at it, he could take one TV or one movie and play several characters. And we've seen that in Coming to America, whether it's in the scene where they were in the barbershop and one guy was saying, aha, aha. And the waiter said, what can I help you? He said, aha. How do you eat a soup? They didn't give him the spoon. Okay, maybe he could have said, have a spoon, please. But Eddie Murphy's been known for playing a lot of roles in his own movies. And then AI says, wait a minute, why do we need Eddie Murphy? They're telling the actors right now in Hollywood, and I'm trying to tell you how to protect your assets! They're telling actors in Hollywood right now that we could use your image as an extra. And with that image as an extra, they don't really need people as much. So what does that mean? I want you to hear a little bit more, because I'm going to talk about black sports agents. And oftentimes we hear the last hired and the first fired since the days of slavery to Jim Crow. And what do you do? Why is RDC so important? I'm Charlton Curry, Big C Sports Business Development Manager, looking to bring over 1,000 brokers throughout the United States to help people learn to protect their assets. Affleck? No, not the Doug. Protect your assets. Okay, I'll get into it more. And I gotta tell you, I don't want a robot to replace me. That would be hard. At the same time, don't think they haven't tried. So when you see that Affleck on commercial, I'm telling you, Deion Sanders, great athlete, now coach for Colorado Buffaloes, and Nick Saban, great coach for Alabama, now he's in television. They did a commercial. Now, think about this when I tell you this. Both of the guys are multimillionaires. Deion Sanders, Super Bowl champion twice with the 49ers and also with the Dallas Cowboys. And then Nick Saban, who's won multiple championships, I think 7 with Alabama. And when they did the commercial, Affleck is Gap Insurance. You realize, Affleck! You know ducks really don't talk. What? I thought the duck was talking, Big C. No, the duck didn't talk. They used voiceover. It's on CGI. Affleck! That's why with Big C Sports protecting your assets, I don't use a duck in my commercial. I use Big C. So you want to have a duck represent your commercial? Affleck! You want to have a real man protecting your assets? That's what I'm doing with Big C Sports, because I know it's real and everybody has their own thoughts about CGI and is really going to affect our economy. The answer is yes, unequivocally yes. So how do I offer any type of solution with Big C Sports and the Big C team? I'm going to tell you why. I just told you. Would you like to hear it again? Because the Big C team, my goal is to bring on over 1,000 real estate agents and brokers to go to work. We have the greatest opportunities because some things computers cannot do and won't be able to do. I went to the dentist this morning, and they took one of my lead fillings out and replaced it with a porcelain filling. It looks a lot better. And when they numb my gum, you know, they use a human being to do it. They use a doctor. They put some Novocaine on my gum, numbed it up a little bit, and then about 3 or 4 minutes later, he came back and he put a needle in my gum. I didn't even feel it. I mean, you could feel a little bit of it, but I didn't feel it. It didn't hurt. And then they came back, and he had his assistant there, and he told me what he's going to do. And he said, if you feel a little bit of pain, just raise your hand. And I said, I'm going to do more than raise my hand. I'm going to scream. I said, I want that doctor to protect my assets. I said, I may need more Novocaine so I don't have any pain. I said, why do you use Novocaine anyway? He said, we want to protect your ass from being hurt. At the same time, I'm being silly about it, but it took a human being to work on my feeling. But at the same time, when I took my blood pressure in the old days, they would have someone put a cuff around your arm, and they have you lay still for a few seconds or a few minutes, and then they take your pressure, and it would spit out whatever the reading it is. Now they hooked up an electronic device to my arm, on my wrist, and it measured my blood pressure. It was like 115 over 68 or something like that, 115 over 62. A robot did it. But when it came time to do my tooth work, they had to have a person do it. So why I'm saying, as business development manager with RDC Consulting, helping agents and brokers protect their assets, we're not going to use the duck for my commercial. Listen to something else about Eric LaSalle when it comes to AI and people. Give me some praise for that. Give me some praise. Don't be afraid to give me some praise. But listen to the rest of this. I want you to get the feeling of it. I want you to really understand that right now we are in a time of change where people are going to have to figure out a new way to make income. And we do that with RDC helping you protect your assets. Pay attention, and hopefully it'll make sense to you.
I generated.
Wow.
And so my friends, I have, one of my daughters is an actor, filmmaker. I have friends in the theater. And this is my theory. I'm a layperson, so, you're an expert. I'm like, if I'm an actor, I'm going to get very, very good at doing live stage. I'm going to get very good at doing live stage.
Right.
Because if you look at purely corporate interest, who doesn't want to have a stable of actors that you don't got to pay, you don't got to do disability, you ain't got to do health insurance, they're never going to go on strike. And as long as you can say you own their likeness and their voice, you're home free. Like you said, it's not going to happen tomorrow, no. It might be for our children or our children's children. But I've been thinking about that since Terminator 2, about how anything you can produce on a screen and now digitally is cheaper to produce. And you're right, you don't need stuntmen. I mean, stunt people when you can just CGI out the whole thing and you can do crazy things, like you said, crazy things that you would never risk a human being to try to do.
Well, I think one of the greater threats, and it's going to take us a while, and I'm not quite sure how we navigate through it. We've now entered into a phase where you can't believe everything you see, and it's one thing to not believe everything you hear. Now we have, like you said, a lot of the big influencers are, AI. My buddy sent me a picture, something on Instagram, and we talked about it, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, no, that was fake. That was a fake person," and it was like, wow. So, we won't be able to believe, and then it gets even scarier because you start talking about the manipulation of images, and you start saying, like, okay, so can someone take my image eventually and make it do something that the world thinks that I did? And that's where it gets scary. That's where it gets really scary.
Last summer, one of the biggest trends on Instagram were these clips, probably on TikTok too, and they just migrated to Instagram, of a brother dancing, right? Like doing, whatever dances are out now. And literally the faces of the brother was changing from Eddie Murphy to Morgan Freeman, to Denzel Washington in the space of, a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Get very realistic looking, and that's probably something somebody did on their computer in their bedroom. Where used to take tons of computer space and technology. Now people really can do this. So you're right. The blurring of the line between what's real and what's not. Now, I was a black student activist at Rutgers in the 80s, and Bill Scott Heron used to come to our campus every year and tell us, "How do you know that that we really landed somebody on the moon? You don't really know that. You're trusting the images." So that was back in the late 70s, early 80s. But you're right. Now, it used to be seeing was believing, hearing. I mean, you got AI that fakes real voices. There's the robocalls. I think there was a Biden robocall that wasn't really Biden, or that happened last week. I just we could spend a whole show talking about this alone. But you're right. That it's not just the implications for can I make a living as a content creator. There are broader implications for how we perceive reality versus fantasy versus truth versus not truth.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've got
that's very important. I want to take your mind to where the world is heading right now. That's why with Big C Sports Podcast, I do the show 5 days a week, and Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It goes all over the world. But if you think about when you hear a commercial is a recording of a person's voice. Would you agree with that? A commercial, TV or radio, every time you see, let's just say, because they brought it up, an actor like a Denzel Washington. My favorite movie with Denzel Washington was Malcolm X. I don't care what anybody says. Glory was fine. Malcolm X was the best. The Devil in the Blue Dress was great. John Q was great. But to me, Malcolm X was his best role. And he should have won an award for that, hands down. But do you know every time you see Malcolm X, the movie Malcolm X, written and produced by the great Spike Lee, they've already produced that well beyond the time that you saw it. And with TV and radio, when you hear something, it could have been produced years ago, many moons ago. Why is that important? See, it's important because the landscape of jobs is changing. What did President Obama say? It's time for change. But change can be bad if you're losing your job. But change can be good if they're giving you some money back from the things you just bought and they owe you 12 cents back. But what I'm telling you about RDC, why I want to help over 1,000 brokers protect their clients' assets. We can't use a duck for that. And I'm telling you right now, Long-Term Care Solutions, by the book, over 3 decades of experience with Dr. King, was right there with President Lyndon Baines Johnson when he signed it into law. And we need that because many senior citizens in the community are focused on which plan to select when it comes to choosing a service. And the fact is that one should not choose a product, but rather the other private options, such as using a living trust. When we think about 4 stages of life cycles, 0 to 25 years old, learning stage, dependent on friends, relatives, and charity, college and trade, between 25 and 65 years old, earning stage, work accumulation, investments, and saving. And then that's when you look at safety. When you look at 65 years old and above, protection, preservation, proper distribution, and protection of your assets. If that makes sense to you. A living trust. How to eliminate and minimize estate taxes, state taxes, federal taxes, capital taxes, administration expenses, attorney fees, executive fees, final expense fees. So in the golden or yearning stage factors, one cannot control. One-on-one, everyone's going to pass away at some time. We have inflation, everybody deals with that. Taxes, everybody deals with that. Disability, long-term care, 1 in 4 will have that need. Nursing home, 1 in 2 will end up in a nursing home. And home care, 3 or 4 will need that. And I want you to listen again to these actors talking about how they're going to make money in the age of AI and why it affects you. It's important when you listen to it.
Obviously I hope we survive them and flourish and find a balance, but I think it's going to get bumpy before it gets smoother, I should say. Because like I said, there's going to be a lot of, there's a period of adjustment of realizing, okay, let me vet this. Let me, they started with, I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago, a woman was, she had 2 daughters. One of her daughters was out of town. one was in town. She was on her way to pick up her daughter at a dance school. And she gets a phone call that her daughter is in trouble and blah, blah. And it was her daughter's voice. And it was, woman is freaking out. And somehow just before she's, getting ready to send money or something, the real daughter calls her or she somehow connects with the real daughter. But it was so real. So all of a sudden, it's just like, it's one thing to, if you think about this years ago, you get these crazy emails or phone calls from people and you just know something's off about it. But now, when that person that you're close to calls you and it is definitely their voice, and sooner or later it'll be they FaceTime you. And say, hey, listen, I'm in a jam, send money, blah, 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 whatever. Like, the scams are going to, so it's kind of, it's weird. I think we're treading dangerous waters. You know what I mean?
As a financial journalist, those types of scams is a big part of what we follow at Black Enterprise, I personally call them. And it's skyrocketing. I mean, it used to be they were targeting pretty much the elderly, but now, like you said, it's so realistic now. They can fool anybody because, and those types of scams are skyrocketing, and that's only what's reported and accounted for. It doesn't count the people who are either just never reported and it's never, so the capacity, and now we're in another space.
I gotta bring some closure to that conversation. And when you think about what I'm saying with Big C Sports and the Big C team, why it's so important that we have opportunities for people. And I'm going to get into why for so many people of color, especially our athletes, they're out there trying to look for ways to protect their money, and people coming at them in different ways, asking them for investment money. Some guy who doesn't even have an office is telling you, give him some money and he's going to invest your money for you. And that's why they have sports agents to help people deal with that situation. That's Eric LaSalle out of Black Enterprise magazine, an actor. And people need to know that this stuff is an opportunity for you with Big C Sports and RDC to figure out what do you do for work? 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. Just ask for Charlton Curry, looking to bring over 1,000 brokers in real estate and insurance and to finding work, helping clients protect their assets. That's what I want to do. So with that said, I want to talk about some of the things that you would think would be safe, but oftentimes it's not. Last year's 2023 NBA draft, which took place in New York City at the Barclays Center, home of the Brooklyn Nets, was one for the records for the first time in history. And in any sport, the top 10 players selected in the draft, they were represented by African-American agents. That's important. And what I'm saying is we know that the opportunity for AI to take over jobs, it's going to take over jobs. And people say, oh, Big C, it won't take over the sports world. Well, have you ever seen a video game? Have you ever seen video games where you play, whether say Madden 2024 or Madden 2022, whatever it was, or NBA, they have those games where you have the joystick in your hand, but these images that are CGI created, they look like the real deal. Until Senator Bradford, one of the reasons I love Senator Bradford so much is because athletes used to have their name, say a college athlete playing a football game, maybe you got the Rose Bowl and it's USC versus Ohio State. When they had those games, those college games, they were not paying the athletes. They were not paying for their name, image, and likeness until California Senator, the one behind passing reparations, came on the books and he said they got to get paid for their name, image, and likeness. Because CGI is also taking over in the world of athletics. So this is what I want to say about African Americans. For the first time, the top 10 players selected in the draft were represented by African American agents. That's important because there was a time that we were not allowed into it. Number 1, Victor Wembanyama for the San Antonio Spurs. He's represented by ComSports. His name is Bona Ndaye. Number 2, Brandon Miller for the Charlotte Hornets, represented by SAI Sports Management. Wilmer Jackson. Number 3, Scoot Henderson, Portland Trailblazers, represented by Parlay Sports and Entertainment by Steve Haney. Number 4, Amen Thompson, Houston Rockets, represented by GAPP Sports Group, Troy Thompson. Number 5, Ansewar Thompson, Detroit Pistons, represented by GAPP, which is Gap Sports Group by Troy Thompson. Number 6, Anthony Black, the Orlando Magic, represented by WME Sports, Bill Duffy. Number 7, Bayal Kalulube, Washington Wizards, represented by ComSports, Bona Nanaye. Number 8, Jarris Walker, Indiana Pacers, represented by WME Sports, Bill Duffy and Joe Branch. Number 9, Taylor Hendricks, Utah Jazz, represented by 1AM Sports, is actually IAM Sports and Entertainment, Richmond Brothers. And then finally, in the top 10, you have Carson Wallace, Oklahoma City Thunder, represented by Excel Sports Management. Marcus Monk, diverse representation, also lists the players selected by the agency. I want to give African American agencies some praise because there was a time we couldn't get into that business, not because we didn't want to, but because we were not allowed to. But not everybody's going to make the NBA or the NFL. Therefore, if you're looking for work as an NFL or NBA or Major League Baseball sports agent, you may not have the opportunity as much. That's why with the Big C team, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, and we're looking to hire over 1,000 insurance brokers and real estate brokers to help clients protect their assets. Affleck again, Curry. I'm tired of that duck. I didn't say Doug. I said protect your assets. Affleck. No, not Affleck. Affleck's the duck. Protect your assets. We will never use a duck to do the Big C Sports podcast. Big C did. And that's important because there are people, you just heard Eric LaSalle say it with Black Enterprise. If, as people of color, African Americans, we know we've been the last hired, the first fired, working for other people. Well, here's a chance to work for yourself. With a beautiful, intelligent black man offering opportunities, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. The insurance industry is a $67 trillion industry. And you can work in it too. You don't have to represent an NFL player or an NBA player. You can help business owners and individuals protect their assets. Excuse me, it sounded like I sneezed. I don't know if I sneezed. Oh, maybe that should be my commercial. Achoo! I'm working on it, and I'm doing this live. I'm not behind the scenes. I'm working on a commercial to tell people how to protect their assets. I want to do that with RDC team as a business development manager. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. Medicare and You, and we have Taking Care of Tomorrow, and then also Medi-Cal. In California, it's called Medi-Cal, and it's by the books. And I just want to tell you part of why I love working with the Big C team, and everybody has their own thoughts about it, but you don't have to wait for someone to give you an opportunity. You can create it for yourself, and that's what I do with the Big C Sports. I want to make sure men and women have the opportunity to either lead, follow, or get out of the way. And everybody has their own opinion about how we do things, and I have my own. But what I can tell you without equivocation, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. With the Big C team, you have a chance to grow. You have a chance to grow your own agency. I just told you heard Eric LaSalle talk about how artificial intelligence is taking away jobs. Not because those jobs want to be lost, but corporate America, if they realize these robots, they don't call in sick, they don't get COVID, they don't ask for an increase in their wages, they don't come to you and say, we want a vacation, we need you to invest in our 401k. They don't do that. They have their own way of bringing in money called robots. Well, Big C, why would we work with you? I just told you why. Because you can work for yourself, helping people protect their assets, and business owners too. Because even if a business decides to get rid of employees and bring in robots, they still have to protect against deep liability lawsuits. And backing what we're doing with RDC, we have Mr. Attorney George Jones, ESQ, Chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also California Black Commerce Foundation, Mr. Leon Woods, Resource Development Consultant, one of the top lobbyists in California, Ms. Cheryl Brown, the Chair of the California Commission on Aging, Mr. Ray De La Cruz, CEO, Resource Development Consulting, Mr. Alex De La Cruz, Founder of American Veterans Benefits, and then you have Big C, the business development manager, and the owner of Big C Sports Podcast. Give that some praise. You don't get that on other programs. They're just going to talk about touchdown, home run, three-point play. Old man Willie, he's going all the way. But they don't offer you opportunities in work, and that's what I want to do with the Big C Sports Podcast. It's so important to me. I don't want to take for granted that everything we want to do in life, you got to have the help of somebody. And right now, as people are getting ready to polish up their resumes, and they're thinking, how can they find work? Well, if two people show up for a job interview, and one is a person, they have their MBA, maybe they went to Stanford, or maybe they went to Sacramento State, whatever it is, and they're in line. And then the employer comes out and says, well, who's next? And you got someone from Stanford, someone from Sacramento State, they hold their hands up. But then the robot says, like R2-D2, or the duck says, I'm next! Yeah, the duck is artificial intelligence. So the duck holds up his hands, and so the employer says, okay, well, come on in, duck. And the duck says, aren't you? And so the employer says, so duck, tell me, we're looking to create jobs for employees to go out around the country and help business owners protect their assets. What's your solution, duck? And the duck says, Aflac! The employer says, no, Aflac is gap insurance. What are you going to do to protect the business owner's assets? And the duck says, I don't know, I'm just a duck. What do you expect? And so he says, okay, well, you can go, thank you for your time. And so next the employer calls in the person from Stanford, and the person from Stanford says, okay, well, I would like to be an employee for you. I have my MBA from Stanford, and I got a 4.0 in all my classes, and I have a history in helping people to protect their assets. But I want $50 million salary, and I need a car. I need an aerial plane, and I need to eat Grey Poupon mustard and caviar. And so the employer says, well, okay, well, thank you. We'll consider your resume. And then the employer calls in the person from Sac State. And he says, how can I help you? What are you going to do to help me protect business owners and their assets? And I said, RDC team, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. Give that some praise. You get the job, because I am the job. And that's why I'm telling you, if you're looking for work and you may have been replaced by a robot, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. Sports agents, they think they have it safe. But if the sports agents was all doing a great job, and many of them are, why would many athletes end up in financial calamity within 5 years of retirement? You can Google the study. And that's why I'm saying, even if you're a sports agent, I would like to talk to you with Big C Sports, that we can create affiliate programs all over the country to help people go to work. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. If we get enough retired athletes, once the playing days are over and they stop cheering, touchdown, home run, three-point play, old man Willie, he's going all the way. And now, instead of being one of those calamities within 5 years of retirement, you didn't have someone protect your assets, even though you had a sports agent. I would like to work with sports agents and bring you to an opportunity that has over 3 decades of experience helping student athletes and also professional athletes. Because when you're 40 years old, you should not be saying, man, I gotta find a job. When you've made tens of millions of dollars, and because somebody did not help you protect your assets, O.J. Simpson's assets were protected, then you have an opportunity. But what if you can't become a sports agent? Because most athletes, they already have agents. And there's only 1,500 players in the NFL. There's like about 500 in the NBA. If you count Europe, maybe another, you could say maybe 800 overall. And the G League, etc. So there's not a lot of opportunities for that. But you know, in California, the population alone is nearly 50 million people. That's California alone. There's over 350 million people in the United States of America. And when you look at the millions of business owners throughout the United States, they all need to learn how to have asset protection. A sports agent's not going to do that for a business. A sports agent's business is that athlete. But what happens when an athlete retires? Or they get told, you know what? They get that knock on the door. Hey, the coach wants to see you. And that happened to some players after the Super Bowl 58. Not everybody you saw in that game is going to be back on those teams. So what do? if you're looking for opportunity, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, and just tell them Big C sent you. Like I said, I'm looking to bring over 1,000 agents, insurance, and real estate, and mortgage brokers. But also, there's a big call that I know is like dropping a pebble in a lake, as I did this morning, dropping a pebble in the lake on my walk. It ripples out. When you drop a pebble in the lake, you know that the pebble doesn't just sink, it creates a ripple effect. So with the Big C Sports, what I want to do is reach out to some of the top sports agents that I know of and ask you to have a conversation with our team that has over 3 decades of experience. We have top endorsements in the state of California, the largest state in the union, and the 5th largest economy in the world. And learn how to protect your assets of your clients. So I want to work with you sports agents, because if you can join the Big C team from NFL football, NBA basketball, Major League Baseball, even the world of boxing, there are enough athletes out there that need help. They need work, because we're competing against robots now. Remember the movie, I think it was Star Wars, and they had these robots called R2-D2 and C-3PO. And then there was Luke Skywalker, there was Darth Vader. They had these, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. The great Obi-Wan Kenobi had this special gift. It was a skill. But he even had robots. And if you look at those Star X-Wing fighters that Luke Skywalker was flying around, he had that robot in the back called, I think it was R2-D2. That's how he spoke. He spoke faster than me. But you realize that was just science fiction. And I remember what I grew up on as a Trekkie is Star Trek. When you give the pause, like Spock would give the hand sign with, he had 4 fingers, of course, and they'd be spread apart like a V shape. And one time, the doctor, his name was Leonard McCoy, Dr. McCoy, Spock did something crazy, and he said, "Spock, are the audio fucking mine?" Because Spock forgot to protect his assets. That's what I want to offer with the Big C team. It's more than sports. It's about creating opportunities. I'm telling you, Big C Sports will become $1 billion corporation. I see it. I see it now. I feel it, because now people are coming to me. I'm not chasing. It's about pull marketing. People got to have this coverage. They got to have it. And if you're a business, why would you walk around with your pants down? I mean, not your pants down, but your pants down. I mean, not your pants down, but like walking around with your pants down, why would you walk around and you're exposed? If you have money, you know people are going to come after you. You just heard the AI with Eric LaSalle in Black Enterprise magazine. There are robots now that are making calls to people, robocalls, telling people that they need money, or telling people that someone's after someone that they love and they need money to pay the ransom. And it sounds like a real person, because AI is real. I'm not talking about Allen Iverson. I'm talking about artificial intelligence. And it's Hollywood. They had that strike because they want more money. Remember Hollywood was on pause? Well, those robots can come in and do a lot of jobs now, CGI. And when you watch cartoons, it's taken over. Cartoons, go back to Fat Albert or whatever it is, Dora the Explorer, or I remember Will Rogers, Lost in Space. They had a robot also. It's called Robot. If you remember Lost in Space back in the day. Or the Flintstones, Bam Bam, Pebbles, Fred, and woman Betty Flintstone. They had a kid named Bam Bam. He was always going Bam Bam, breaking everything. Well, CGI is not going away. It's here to stay. But if you want a chance to get on top of it, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, and just tell them Big C sent you. That's my third invigorated. I love giving praise to my beautiful family on my mother's side, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my beautiful mother, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. I'm telling you, the best person I ever met in my life, and always saying, rise and shine. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, and body and soul. On my father's side, my grandfather, Albert Curry, my grandmother, Alberta Curry, working side by side with him, and then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night, always send developing mind to its highest extent. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother, Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. Top of speak, always saying go forward. Reparations readers. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. Helped me with the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Always trust God. Love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, very smart, erudite, a good man. Helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers and look up stats for the Big C Sports Podcast. And one day, Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went out. Been Googling ever since. One day he said, Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You see your show come up and now streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Malcolm, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. And then Big C, with all that wealth and knowledge over the years, always saying you gotta believe, saying let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-bit teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. I do my show with my higher self, and I always give God the praise. I give God the praise. The more I praise, the more God puts that pebble like I dropped in the lake, and it starts expanding my universe. In fact, the universe of Big C Sports is expanding. I thank God for bringing that into me. Well, that's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. You know, AI is out there competing with people. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. You may even learn to protect your own assets, if that makes sense to you. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. If you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber, you could call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car once they've been drinking and start driving the life you say may be your own or someone you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As my beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap on their own. Anybody going upside your head, they need more leader in their life. What's leader, Big C? Leader is an acronym, LITA. Love is the answer. Anybody that loves you, they don't lie to you, they don't try to scam you, they don't hit you upside the head and tell you that it's your fault. Call 911 if that's going on in your life. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, back by popular demand, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to go reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, what about Muhammad Ali and Abraham Lincoln and Dr. King? Well, as I always tell you, I'm about reparations. I hope that President Biden gets the clue before it's too late. It's sign reparations now, reparations forever. Come on and say it like your heart, mind, body, and soul believe in it. Sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Say it one more time like your heart, mind, body, and soul believes in it. Sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.